Welcome to Chautauqua People. My name is John V. With us today are two members of the Chautauqua Volunteer Fire Department, David Bigelow, Fire Chief, and Royal Briggs, Fire Commissioners. Both are long-term members of the department. The Chautauqua Volunteer Fire Department was organized in 1906 under New York State town law. The fire district boundaries extend north to Mayville, south to Magnolia, and west to Sherman. The district is similar in character to other rural fire districts in the county, with the exception that it covers a 750-acre Chautauqua institution grounds. N.S. Morey was the first fire chief, followed by Jimmy Powers, who served from 1910 till 1947. What is the relationship between the Chautauqua Fire Department and Chautauqua Institution?
We are actually a separate entity from them, but they support us, we support them, and I think overall we've had a good relationship over the years. Actually, where our fire station is built now was institution land, so we worked out a deal with them. They acquired our old fire station, and we acquired the land we needed to build a new one. So we worked well with them over the years.
So independent and cooperative.
Yep.
Can we see some of the first equipment used by the fire department? You could show us some photographs.
Sure.
I think we have a few loaded.
Oh yeah, there's some that are loaded. I've got some copies here. This is this one here was a
Let's take a
Model
look.
Model T.
On the screen, we've got the old colonnade building.
Oh, colonnade building. Yep.
Yep. Now, this colonnade building looks different than it does today. Tell me what happened. Why is this a fire issue?
There's been two fires there.
Two?
The first one was in 1906, which totally destroyed the whole building. And that was rebuilt completely. And the second one was burnt in the early 60s, and that one was rebuilt. And they lost the third story. There was a third story.
So when they rebuilt it from the 1906, they added a story.
Yes.
Added a floor. Do we have any pictures of that? I think there used to be
That
remains of the 1906
that
building.
the only picture that I have
Here it is.
is
Here it is.
Yep.
Let's take a look at this.
That's
So-
not much left.
So this was just, looked like war damage.
I'm
didn't it?
sorry, I misspoke. 1908 was the fire.
1908. And then they rebuilt from this. What caused the fire? Anybody know?
I'm not sure of the first one. The second one was up on the third story in one of the apartments. There was renters and apartment people up there. And there was also a fatality at that fire.
Whoa. Now, did the second one play any major role in fire control, fire management for the county?
Yes, because there was a large number of departments. Almost the entire county had a piece of apparatus there or manpower, including the city of Dunkirk brought their aerial truck over, which really benefited as far as putting the fire out, because City of Jamestown wouldn't let theirs come. There was some apparatus, I believe, that was sent from clear across the other end of the county that came manpower. They pumped water out of the lake, and they were there for a long time, and it was below freezing.
So this was a wintertime fire,
Yep.
and they pumped water up from the lake.
Yes, they had to go out and make holes in the ice and use portable pumps and brought it on shore to the fire engines, and the fire engines pumped it up the hill to where they needed it.
Wow. Well,
I think there was 35 departments, I think, that were involved in that fire.
Whoa.
And there was only 42 in the whole county.
Whoa. So that was a major issue then, wasn't it?
Yep. Oh, yes, it was.
And have there been any changes in protocol for big fires as a result of that?
There's been a lot of updates through the county as far as apparatus being able to automatically respond. And it's all set up via the computer, so it's all computerized now. So if we need additional equipment.
So it's faster than working a phone or something like
Yeah,
that?
exactly, yep.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just a radio call, and we get a response.
Right. Can we see some of the equipment that was used? We've got this fire. I think Chuck has a few more pictures
I
loaded.
think he has some more, yep.
Yeah.
See what comes up. Oh, there we go. That was prior to the colonnade fire.
Okay.
That was in 1947.
Right. So that would be the building put up, that building was put up right after World War II then?
Yes.
And what about this equipment?
Oh, that was, I have a picture in front of me. There was a Chevy pumper,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a General Motors Corporation pumper, and you can just see part of it in the picture was the Peter Purse,
Okay.
in
and what-
1929.
And what do we have here? What kind of equipment is on the screen now?
That's the
That is the Model T,
Model T.
and that was in, I think, 1916, it was the first motorized piece of apparatus that we
And-
had.
And that preceded Mr. Perch.
Yes. Purse
got-
was in 1929.
Is this Perch?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a picture down at the lakefront, I believe, that was taken. Yep.
Mhm. Anything unique about this?
And Jimmy Powers is on it.
Yep. And I think that was the fire chief at that time. He's in that picture.
Mhm.
That we reacquired that. It was sold as unusable back in the late 60s, and I think it was 1985. Some of our gentlemen firemen went out and discovered where it was. It was on the west side of Erie, and we ended up, one of our members, our retired member, purchased it and helped pay for refurbishing it. So,
I bet
It's
that
on-
was an extensive job, wasn't
oh
it?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
it took a long time. It's an ongoing thing every year, almost every year.
So what's this current picture here on the screen?
That is what it looks like today.
Okay. And how does it get used?
We use it for parades and our chicken barbecues. We take it to the Southwestern Firemen's Convention. We've done a wedding with it. It went clear down to Pennsylvania.
Wow.
They
And it'll-
give rides for it out on the grounds also.
Yep.
You know, a couple of our members will take it out for a Sunday drive and.
so it's drivable then, isn't it?
Oh yes, that was the whole idea. We had a choice of either having it just sitting in the museum room or
Mhm.
being able to be used, and it's got dents and scratches from that, but
Mhm.
And it still pumps water.
the pump works. Yep.
How does that compare with this equipment?
Oh, much better.
Yeah.
That was all hand-drawn equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it, got it. Now, tell me about current equipment. How many major pieces do you have? What are they like? What's unique about them?
We have two engines. One's a supply engine, one's an attack engine. We
Mhm.
also have a ladder truck, a 75-foot ladder truck. An M truck, which is, currently used for smaller fires now. We're getting it equipped with a CAF system that will put out smaller fires and get that first initial attack if
Mhm.
needed. We have a medic fly car, basically, for the summer season at
Can
the
you
institution.
tell me a little more about the fly car, what that does?
That's, we have a paramedic that's staffed 24 hours a day during the 9-week season of the institution. And they can respond, they're stationed right at the hall, and they can get there relatively quickly, right around anywhere on the grounds and outside the rest of our district. So, yeah.
And so that's,
And then our ambulance that we use to transport.
so the protocol then would be the fly car first,
Correct.
and if needed, then they call for the ambulance.
Well, they
What-
would tone out both of them. They would
Yeah.
both go, depending on the situation, but yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Now, this leads to the point where we have sort of a subdivision in the department that, from what I could figure out, one is a firefighter or one is a medic. Can you tell me a little more about that and how the breakdown goes of the percentage of calls and the training for each?
Well, when a member wants to join, they have, a couple of options. They're either going to be a firefighter or an EMT or a paramedic.
Mm-hmm.
And, once classes are available, then, they come to trainings and kind of try and figure out what they want to do. Then they'll go to classes, and it'll either be a BFO class, IFO class, which is exterior firefighting and interior firefighting, and then the other class would be an EMT.
Mm-hmm.
BFO class is right around 79 hours.
This is the exterior fighting.
Exterior fighting. If you want to do the interior firefighting, that's an additional 50 hours. So it's a big commitment to, get involved, to volunteer for that.
And most of your members are employed elsewhere, are they not?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're all coming from their home or, their place of work, depends on what they're doing at that time, so.
And the classes then, are they evening or day classes, or how do they do that?
Most of them are evenings, weekends, depending, they try and schedule it around, the normal work days. But some of them are, could be an all-week class. If you go for the EMT class, that's approximately about 150 to 190 hours, and then you do your 10-hour clinical time, so that's, some of them can be crunched into, a 3-4 week period, or they can be stretched out to, 5-6 months, depending on, what their availability is.
And
so-
that sort of depends upon the nature of the people giving the class, isn't it? They say, we'll do it offer you a class for so long.
Yeah, it's whatever, the state sets up, it's depending on how many instructors they may have at that period of time, and,
So is most of the training then given by the state?
yeah.
How does this situation in terms of time in the training, or training time, compare with other states? Are we higher or lower? Do you have any feel for that?
As far, if you even went to Erie County, their training, the availability of that training up there is a lot more,
Mhm.
closer together. They have a lot, it's a, bigger city. Other
More
states, I'm
populous
not
county
sure.
then.
Yeah, more popular, and, so,
That makes it. Now, how many members are currently in the department?
right now we have 35 active members. 7 of them are EMTs, and the rest of them are firefighters, and,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about how the calls break out? We know that the 9-week Chautauqua season is going to be very different than the rest of the year.
correct.
And
Yeah.
tell me about how many calls would be anticipated. Now we're beginning of the season.
At the beginning of throughout the year, we're usually averaging anywhere between 15, 25 calls a month.
Okay.
Come the 9-week season, June, July, and then part of August, it can jump up to 9, 10 a day. So we'll get a couple hundred calls within that 9-week
Hmm.
period.
Whoa.
So with a total average of about 420 calls per year. So.
And the majority of the calls then are medical, or are they fire?
Yeah, the majority of them are medical or, lift assist, burnt food quite a bit.
Mhm.
So it's, helping them out, making sure that, the smoke is cleared out of their house, so they can continue back to.
What seems to be the cause of most of the fires? If you were to stand back and take a look and say, what was it?
Let's turn that one to
Kitchen fires, or are they?
Yeah, it's kind of a
Because that's
toss-up.
more of a history kind of thing, because
It's
kind of a
since
toss-up.
I've been in, we haven't had that many fires in our district.
A lot of time it's human error or lack of maintenance on things, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, people need to be educated, and I think they are better than they used to be, because we
Yeah.
don't have, that's one of the good things, knock on wood, that
Yeah.
we don't have very many major fires.
I'm of a mindset that some decades ago, most of the fires in houses were caused by electrical systems. And we see now that that number is down substantially with the current wiring standards. And it's on the ground, so many houses being redone.
Mhm.
And I shared with you, the insurance company made me redo it they were very polite but very firm about it, without any hesitation. Now, if somebody goes through the training, basically, someone walks in the door, how long would it take before you as the chief or commissioner could say, this person has completed the training, therefore we'll allow them on a fire site? What's a typical time period?
Typical, it could, go from 6 months up to 2 years,
Really?
depending on the availability of, the classes that are being held, and obviously the members' availability to get into the class to take it.
So it's not an immediate item then?
No, it's not immediate.
So,
no.
and let's say we have some young person wants to come in early to mid-20s, has a commitment to Chautauqua County, gives you every impression that they're physically fit and mentally strong for this. What's the likelihood of their completing the training? Pretty high or low?
Oh, absolutely. The instructors work really well with, getting them through the class, and then we do a lot of in-house training to prepare them for the classes. And most all recent classes now, they require in-house training to, to help them through that. So we're aware of what they're doing.
Is there a physical exam requirement for
Yeah.
firemen?
Once a
Everyone
year,
has
there's
that.
a physical, and the big thing with all this training stuff, it's kind of mandatory, and it's because the goal is so they can go home to their family
Got it.
and not have any issues, And we even take care of people even on the medical end if they've seen something that might be kind of gory or something at a car accident or something.
Mhm.
We even have the availability for treatment, follow up. But the goal is, and unfortunately it makes it difficult for people to put time in, but it's because we want them to go home.
And so they've got to be physically, my guess is cardiology is a big part of the exam, because it has very intense, very stressful periods, if I
Yeah.
understand, for a firefighter.
If there's any issues why they have to follow up with their doctor, when we have the physical, they do some testing, just basic stuff, but if there's anything, they follow up, and then they have to get signed off before they get their card, which is only good for a year.
Right. Now, let's think this thing through. Young person comes in, has the first pass, looks like they're going to be a good candidate. You run them through the training. Year and a half later, Chief, I'm ready to go. This was a buster. You told me it was going to be.
Mhm.
I didn't like carrying that dummy out of a third floor window on a ladder, but I did it. What kind of equipment are you going to put on them now that they're a member of the department?
As an active member.
Got it.
Yeah.
What's all this
Well,
stuff on
they'll
the
be
floor?
they'll be equipped with what we call turnout gear. They'll have a set of bunkers, with boots and coat, pants,
There.
helmet, gloves, Nomex hood. All that will be all
Yep.
rated for exterior fire, and rated for interior firefighting.
Now, was that
um,
lightweight, that thing?
No,
No.
that's not lightweight. No, they do have lightweight gear that they use for MVAs, motor vehicle accidents, and in-house training if we're doing something, or
Mhm.
but most all the gear that we have is all fit for interior firefighting. So we don't want to.
Whoa, so you don't, it's all mostly for interior firefighting. That gives the person more protection, does it not?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's thermal barriers built into
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Okay. I always thought firefighters showed up in rubber coats. Is that?
No, that's gone, long time ago.
That was in Butch's time.
We have one of them hanging up in our little museum room, a rubber coat.
You still have it?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
still hanging
yeah.
up in there, yeah.
Okay. Is that a gag gift? Somebody messes up or something?
There you go.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
give them the
Yeah,
rubber
here you
coat
go.
and say, hey.
You know, it's all made with Nomex and Kevlar and
Yeah.
expensive stuff. That's why it costs, there's
Yeah.
over $4,000 sitting there.
Yeah, are you serious? Devin, can we get a picture of this again? $4,000 worth of gear.
Yep. That's just the basic stuff.
That would be just for the pants and the coat. And then
Pants and
an
the coat.
added extra cost for the helmet, another $400 for the helmet, and then gloves. And
Yep.
gloves are $100 a pair, or if not more. And then the boots.
What's
So-
special about the gloves?
They're fire rated.
Can we see the gloves there? You got to see that?
They're right inside the boots.
Yep,
Yep.
there we go. There we go.
Okay. So indeed, if they're fire rated, so if an ember would fall, then it wouldn't burn the skin.
Correct.
Yeah, there's some thermal
Yep.
protection there, yeah. And obviously if you're handling something sharp so you don't get cut, yep.
And the life expectancy on them is 10 years. After
10
that, they need to be replaced.
Are they dated when you buy them?
Yep, they're all dated.
Expires such and such a date?
Expires
There's
at
a tag
certain
on the
time,
inside that
and-
tells when they're manufactured.
Yeah,
Yep. Manufactured dates there, and they're recommended after 10 years, but,
And then they have to go.
yep, unfortunately, yeah.
So they're like tires on the truck then.
Yep, pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah.
Tires are
Those
good
are
for
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah,
And you won't tell if I got old tires on my
we'll
old
check them on our
F-150.
way out. Yeah.
Check them on the way out. So, what's let's take a look here. And how has firefighting changed in the time? Pick on Butch here. The young man, he's only about 18.
That's when I joined, 18.
Okay. And you probably needed to wipe his nose occasionally. Okay. How has firefighting changed in those years?
I think a lot of it is about the safety part of it. Is
Give me more, please.
there wasn't mandatory physicals, and we didn't have the good equipment to protect you from getting hurt. And I think over the time they just realized that there was more people were getting hurt. And of course, then back then we had a lot more fires than we do now too, which in a good, shouldn't say it's good to have more fires, but it was good in the respect that people learn from that stuff, where we don't have that now. That's why the training is real important. But the equipment's changed, the manpower has changed. That's the big thing, is people have too many other interests, I think. It's hard to get volunteers. Every department's everywhere is struggling with that. There's departments that are closing their doors because of that. You know, there's too many other things that people are more important, and then the time commitment is the other thing. But
Yeah.
Now, what would the time commitment be, let's say, for a certified firefighter, let's say interior and exterior, and exclusive of calls? You have mandatory training, is that continuing education?
yeah, there's continuing
Yeah.
education, especially on the medical end of it.
Okay, and how often do they have to do that?
They have to do that every year. They
Every
have to-
year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that a substantial time period to do it, or is it
They all have to be credentialed by the end of June.
okay?
So they all have to go either to the county and get, make sure that they can still do all their skills and practicals and stuff like that.
So that's
know.
that's a refresher period.
Yeah, that's a
And
mandatory.
we run regular drills every week, even during the summertime. And so
Tell me about those.
Ongoing training, yeah.
We'll do all types of training. We'll do some driver training, get some guys out and learn how to drive. We'll do some, simulators of, fighting fires, but we'll be, spraying the water on a hose or onto a cone rather than, because we can't do live fires. So we, dragging hose, rolling hose, all kinds of stuff that, filling up a portable pond so they can, figure out how that works, how water transfers from one pond to another. Pumping the trucks. Pumping the trucks is a really critical, item on the,
What is pumping the trucks?
well, getting water from a water source and making sure the firefighter has water to, put the fire out. And
Okay.
especially if you have a guy inside, you want to make sure you have a really good guy that's supplying them with water. So that's important.
Now, would you use a regular hose, or is there specialty stuff when you go inside?
It's a smaller,
It's a
an
smaller-
inch and 3/4.
It's
Yeah.
a
It's the
smaller
size,
gauge then?
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
they can maneuver around corners and whatnot with it, yeah. That's the biggest thing, yeah. And then the other stuff, the outdoor supply stuff is, we have a lot of 5-inch hose that we use for supply.
Are those hoses expensive?
Yes.
Very.
That last load that when you were with us today,
Yeah.
the large stuff, the bright colored stuff, I think the last batch they bought of that was a few years ago, and I can't remember how many thousand feet they bought, and it was over 12 grand, so.
12 grand to
Yeah.
lay down.
Mhm.
And it takes time to get it from the time you order it too.
Yeah.
It doesn't come immediately, yeah.
What's the life expectancy of a hose like that?
Well, they get hose tested every year, so if they don't pass the hose test, then they're destroyed, so they could last quite a while.
And a hose test then is under pressure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Water, not just
No,
not just air, but water.
Just water,
Water,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They actually stretch it all out, and then they record every length, and they label it all when it was tested, yeah.
Okay. Now, let's get a couple more questions here. Something I want to get back to the equipment we talked about. We walked, for the viewers here, we walked through the facility, and you indicated that the gear you showed me has just one rear axle, and most fire gear has two.
Correct.
Why is that, and what do you achieve by that one axle arrangement?
We ordered, special ordered a lot of our equipment with a shorter wheelbase and a single axle, because the area, the high populated area that we protect is the institution, and it's extremely hard to get down in and around there with a dual axle. It lengthens the truck, and it's a little bit harder to get down in and around the institution with one of those. So we had to special order each one of the vehicles to make it so we can get there a little easier.
That's really great foresight, is it not? Presumably some experience of having vehicles in position that are difficult to get out of there.
Yeah, over the years, that's the thing with the apparatus, it's changed a lot. Yeah, and that was one of the things that we had to kind of maintain was the short wheelbase. I mean, there's a lot of other departments that have single axle trucks, but sometimes they're a lot longer. Ours were specifically, that was one of the things that was taken under consideration when they were buying it or having it ordered, to make sure that the turning radius was the big thing, getting around, because there's a lot of places it's impossible to get to if you had something longer.
There's got to be some tough training to take some new people and presumably off-season drive around the grounds and I'm just speculating it's off-season training.
Mm-hmm.
You would do that and say, okay, now this corner's a real buster, young man.
Right.
Let's see how well you can do.
Yeah.
How many times you got to back up to make it around the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so that gets done without any time. Where do you see the issue of firefighting going in the future? We didn't talk about this.
That's
No,
a
we
tough
didn't.
one.
We didn't talk
That's a
about
tough one.
that.
It's getting harder and harder to find people to commit to the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, commitment to the time and the amount of training that's going to be involved to, really keep up with what the requirements are to be a
And there's-
firefighter.
So anticipate the training time will be
Yeah.
increased.
New
Yep.
new requirements, and they're making it more and more of a mandatory. So
Yeah.
our level of training is pretty close to what a paid fire department would have. I mean, we've had members of our department are trained and work full time now in the city of Jamestown and some other departments.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
They-
they're good firefighters. You hate to see them go.
That's right.
Yeah,
We lost
yeah.
some good. We've
Yeah.
lost some people over time that went on, so they've made a career out of it. So, yep.
Now, one last point, and then we'll wrap it up here. We didn't talk about this one either. Hazardous materials, hazmat, that whole discipline seems to have been a rival in the last several decades.
Mhm.
How does that affect what you all are doing?
All of us do a hazmat awareness, but the county has a special hazmat team. We do have a few of our members that are that are on that team, and he keeps us updated on a lot of things. But yeah, if it becomes a true hazmat, scene, we would definitely call on the hazmat.
So if there was,
County.
let's say, a truck on the major highway hauling hazardous materials, was on
Mhm.
fire, then that's,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
that's a big issue.
They're getting called right away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and usually dispatch, when the call comes in, however it gets to them, they usually are aware from the information they got. They go ahead and get them coming right away. But the fire chief or whoever's in charge, all they have to do is request,
Got it.
and they're available. They're right here.
Okay, I can't resist. One more question. We bought the house close to the fire hall. There was that very loud horn that would go off.
Mm.
And the story was, enjoy it at 6 o'clock, enjoy it at noon. And if you were kids, you knew you better be home before the fire alarm goes off at 6
Yep.
for supper, or you're in trouble.
Yep.
That seems to have gone away. How do you notify firefighters? We got an incident now.
It didn't go away completely.
No, the siren's back now.
Okay.
It plays the
Yeah.
Westminster Chimes at 6 o'clock every night.
Yep.
You probably have heard it and not realized
Not
that's what it
realize
was.
Yeah.
There's going to be some public relations stuff coming out about that. We purchased it a couple of years ago when we got rid of the siren that was up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
When the institution built their new maintenance building, it was on their property,
Right.
and we had to move it. So, and we got rid of that, went to an electronic, and it's on the roof of the fire station now.
And so now, how would you notify a firefighter if there was a call?
Right now, all of our firefighters are equipped with a pager.
They got
that
a
will
pager.
send out-
Yep.
Yeah, dispatch will send out a tone and it'll alert them. And the other option is the I am responding right off your phone, which will alert you also, and that's when you can respond into that call. And us as chiefs and, and dispatch will know who's coming to the call and where,
So
and how
What level
long,
of training you have,
Yeah.
whatever training they've had,
whether they're a
it comes up,
driver.
and so
or-
everybody knows.
So very quickly, the dispatch will be able to give the chief or whoever's running the scene a
Mhm.
report as to what you're going to have available.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. And so, but the siren is definitely back, and we're working on it. It actually has some voice capabilities on it too, so we're working out maybe some messages we can send up. God forbid something happened, if we had a bad storm, or we had something like what happened a couple of years ago with the incident at the amphitheater. We could
Mhm.
alert the public to go in lockdown, or, if they had to do that. But
And right now, it tones out, it alerts just for fire alarms. It doesn't alert for EMS. That's how we have it set up
Mhm.
at this point.
otherwise, it would be going off a lot
Yeah,
in this summertime,
Yeah.
which would be annoying for people.
Yeah.
indeed, but think of the risk of not responding quickly.
Right.
And people should accept that, say that's the cost of living in a
Yeah, it's just,
tight-knit community.
the
walking
siren
around.
thing is just isn't important as it used to be because of the other ways we have to alert
Yeah.
our members.
Right.
Between the online stuff, the I'm responding, and the pagers, why?
And that seemingly works well enough.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Oh, it
It's
works
pretty-
really well.
Yeah. Folks, we are out of time, and it went by quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did.
And I hope we will be able to, next year, come back and take a closer look at your equipment and some of the people.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So do come back.
Enjoy.
Thank you very
Alrighty,
much.
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.